Good afternoon and welcome back. We would continue on this next section on caregiver mental health and self-care. And like I said earlier, that we will be joined by Dr. Sylvia Claire Nguena. And on this section will be centered on caregivers and their well-being. It's a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Claire Nguena, BCBA, and a co-founder of Marvelous Meghan Foundation, whose work places caregivers at the center of the autism conversation. Dr. Nguena reminds us that behind every child receiving support is a caregiver carrying immense emotional, physical, and psychological responsibility. Parents and families often expected to be strong. They are often expected to be strong. They are often expected to be resilient and endlessly patient. Yet, their own needs are frequently overlooked or neglected. She speaks to the stress that accumulates quietly over time, that leads to exhaustion that is normalized, the exhaustion that is normalized on a daily basis, to the isolation that goes unseen, and to the guilt that prevents caregivers from prioritizing their own well-being. Dr. Nguena emphasizes a critical truth. Caregivers are humans too. Strength without support is not sustainable. When caregivers burn out, the entire system of care is affected. The children, families, and the professionals alike. Her session is a call for compassion, awareness, and shared responsibility. She challenges communities and systems to move beyond gratitude alone and towards structures that actively protect caregiver mental health. This conversation reframes self-care not as a luxury, but as an ethical necessity for sustainable care. If you're ready, Dr. Nguena, you have the floor.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Just trying to put you up.
Okay, perfect. So I would like to send my heartfelt thank you to Spark a Spectrum of Possibilities. That's what we're talking about today. Especially to Ms. Diallo, Madame Fabi. Thank you so much for putting all this together and all the amazing team that is behind helping you. We're very grateful to be here, especially to talk about something that is so meaningful to all of us. So thank you. Thanks to all the presenters that have presented so far and the one to come. We've been getting a lot of great information, so we're very grateful for that. All right, so let's get started. When you look at this image, I don't know what you see. I don't know what it tells you, but let's think about it. Who do I want to be in this moment? Who do I want to be in this moment? A few years ago, I find myself sitting on the floor of my bedroom during a meltdown that felt endless. My body was exhausted. My mind was just racing. I just didn't know what to do. And my thought kept saying, "You're failing. I'm failing." Not because I didn't know what to do, but I had just run away from my own daughter. I'm speaking here as a parent of a child who's 20 years old, diagnosed with autism. Some would say level 3, some would say profound autism, but we call her Marvelous Meghan. I ran into my room not because I didn't know how to love her, but because love on its own didn't seem to make things easier. I had run because Meghan was having a meltdown. She was very aggressive, not just towards me, but also towards herself. And I had to run away. Can you imagine the pain of running away from your own child and locking the room? And you could still hear her screaming, crying, hating herself. You could feel her pain. But also, you knew at that moment that you were powerless. You didn't know what to do. And as a mother, as a caregiver, and later a researcher and a clinician, I've learned something very humbling. When I say humbling, I really mean it. Caregiving doesn't just test your skills. Let me say it maybe differently. Caregiving for children or for people with different abilities or neurodivergent children doesn't just test your skills. It tests your heart. It tests your limits. It tests your ability to stay here, to stay present, when everything else tells you run away. Growing up and working across cultures, I've seen disability in general, and especially autism, because that's what we're talking about mostly today, are very misunderstood. And the previous speakers did an amazing job talking about the stigma, the silence, the blame, all that have been mentioned so far. And caregivers, we the caregivers, are expected to be strong. Yes, it's been mentioned already. To endure, to sacrifice, but rarely given permission to admit how hard it is. Yes, it's very hard. Or we've never been taught how to care for ourselves in a mix of doing others. That moment in my room, sitting on the floor, crying and wondering, didn't magically change. The behavior didn't stop, but I did. I stopped fighting the feelings. I stopped believing the thought that said I was a bad mother. Instead, I asked a question. What kind of caregiver do I want to be in this moment, given how hard it is? What kind of caregiver do I want to be when Meghan is having a meltdown? That questions and the small value-driven choices that follow change everything. And that brings me to why I'm here today. Who is the caregiver? For this presentation, I just want to acknowledge all the caregivers that we have. When we are in the African culture, the caregiver is not just the parent. It is the whole community, the family members, the uncle, the aunt, the aunties, the friends, the neighbors, all of them, the church members. They're all the caregivers. So I want to acknowledge all of them and thank them for everything that they do. The caregivers are often those who show up every day, emotionally, physically, and practically. Without them, we cannot do anything. So thank you. As I mentioned, we often don't talk about how hard it is, but caring for children with different disabilities usually bring a lot of challenges. I'm not going to talk about all of this because they mostly have all been mentioned so far today. But I'd rather just say that when we have all those challenges, whether it's the financial burnout, the financial burden, the stress, the social isolation, this was mentioned today. When you cannot take your child to places, when you go to a birthday party and your child is so disruptive that you have to leave the place. When you have all the stares, which Jackie just mentioned it, people staring at you or staring at your child. This is very challenging. It increases your stress, the burnout, and all this can lead to mental health challenges. Mama Mary mentioned it this morning, the depression, the anxiety, the panic attack. We all at risk of that. Should I say maybe we even at higher risk of all that when we're dealing with children that have different needs. What do we do with that? What do we do with that? Maybe self-care can help. Given the limited support and the immense demand placed on the caregivers, it becomes very critical for us and all the caregivers to take care of themselves. Yes, it was said earlier, self-care is not a luxury. It is the necessity. We have to take care of ourselves. According to the WHO, it is defined as the ability of individuals and families and communities to promote their own health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illness with or without the support of a health or a care worker. Let this sink. This is important. It is not a luxury, but it is necessary for resilience and for the long-term caregiving. As we have already said today, autism is a lifespan condition. So we also want to make sure that we are equipping ourselves to deal with that. So why does it matter? Why self-care matters? It is essential for protecting mental health and reducing the chronic stress, the exhaustion, the burnout. When it is neglected, caregivers are increased risk of anxiety, there's depression. Burnout often occurs when caregivers feel very exhausted. It is important for us to find a balance, to think about what is important to us, and make sure that we're engaging in behavior that will help us align with what truly matters to us. It's more than taking breaks or relaxing. It's about living in alignment with what really means something important to you. Let's think about it. We have to be kind to ourselves. That's self-compassion. It's very important. We have to be gentle to ourselves. We have to recognize the shared humanity. The struggles that we go through, we're not alone in it. Mama Mary said it this morning. We're not alone. Just like we show up with happy faces and beautiful things going on, the same thing happened with the challenges that goes on in our lives. The things that we're not saying out loud. When people see you outside with your children, they don't know exactly what is happening inside when no one is there to see. It doesn't just happen to us, it happened to all of us. This is part of humanity. We have to learn to stay present, stay connected, because as we do that, we engage in what matters to us. This is why today I'm going to introduce a therapy for some or a training for others that can help you. This is called acceptance and commitment therapy because it helps you, it gives you a framework that can help you build the resilience that you need, build the skills that are necessary for you to engage in what matters, even when everything tells you run away. So what is acceptance and commitment therapy? It is a modern behavioral approach that promotes what we call psychological flexibility, which is the ability to be fully present, to accept unwanted or difficult thought, that thought of like, I'm a bad mother, and feelings while you continue to engage in actions that are important to you, that make life meaningful to you. This approach helps people, not just caregivers, but anyone. It helps people, individuals, build adaptability and resilience, especially when you're facing challenges. It helps you reflect on what is important, your personal and your professional values. And I'll ask you a few questions. Let's just take a moment and think about those questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing today? What did you connect to this forum today. Why? What is truly important to you? When you ask those questions and you look deep inside of you for answers, it helps you find out what are your values, the things that are important to you. In ACT, values I view as compass. And the ultimate goal here, as I said, is to build psychological flexibility. And research have shown that people who have great psychological flexibility, that ability to stay present, to stay connected, and to continue to engage with what matters, people who do that have a better mental health and overall well-being. This is why I'm going to be presenting on ACT and telling you how you can use it for your own benefit. It has 6 core processes. And because of the limit, the time constraint that we have, I'm not going to be able to go through all those in depth, but I just have them listed here so that you can have an idea. So it focuses on fixing you, helping you build what we call psychological flexibility using all those 6 core processes. And this includes the acceptance of being open to difficult emotions, the present moment awareness, being here right now, staying focused, staying grounded, the cognitive diffusion, learning to see thought. They just thought, they're not me, they don't define me. The self as a context, which is the I am. You know, understanding what we are. It's more than just being a parent of a child with autism. It's more than be a caregiver. You are a friend, you're a neighbor, you're a community member, you're more than your present circumstances. And your values, like I said, what matters to you? What is important? And with that, what actions are you taking to make sure that you engage in things that matters to you? So these are the core processes, and I will show you how you can use this to build a life that increase your self-care. Here on the screen, you see a map. It's basically just a form, and I'll share at the end of the presentation in a link what that form is. It's called a Mindful Action Plan. It was developed by DJ Moron, and it takes all the 6 core processes of ACT into one simple but very powerful statement that you can use every day. I am here now, accepting how I feel, noticing my thought, while doing what I care about. The goal of this, the Mindful Action Plan that we call MAP for short, is not to eliminate stress, but to help you stay present, to help you stay connected, to help you stay grounded to what matters, even when life is difficult. This is very important. So I'm going to use a story here, the story of Mira. I'm going to use Mira's story to help you go through the MAP, the Mindful Action Plan. It is an example of how you can use those processes to help build the type of life that you want despite everything going on. All right, so let me introduce you to my very dear friend, Mira. She is a single mother, and she's caring for a child who's diagnosed with autism. Her child is an adolescent, and her child's name is Luo. She was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. And Luo engaged in a lot of distressing behaviors, and that includes aggressions, property destruction, inappropriate sexual behavior. You can imagine she has a very challenging life. Now, how can we use the Mindful Action Plan to describe what is going on and to help Mira build resilience and promote self-care? How do we do that? So the first step here will be, I am here now. So you pause and bring your attention to the present moment. I am here now. Ask yourself, what is happening right now inside of me? Ask yourself that question. If we are present, our actions usually are driven by what is supposed to be happening. But if we are taken in our thought, we're missing what is happening right now. We're either thinking about the future or we're thinking about the regret of the past. When Mara's child is engaging in challenging behavior, her mind often goes to the past and say, I'm failing, I'm not a good mother, or into the future and say, what if this never gets better? The I am helps her remember that she is more than she's more than the moment that is happening right now. She's not defined by her child's behavior or her thought about herself. She is a person noticing these experiences. And at the same time, the present moment, being here right now, helps her to come back to what is happening right now so she can respond based on the situation instead of responding based on fear or guilt. And these skills create a space for clarity, for compassion, and action that are based on value, even in the middle of difficulties. That's the first step. All right, let's talk about the second step. Accept what's going on. We allow whatever feeling are present to be there. This could be stress, it could be frustration, even sadness. It's important for us to accept. Acceptance does not mean that you're giving up. It doesn't mean that you are okay with what's happening. It just means that you are opening up to the experience, to whatever is happening. You're not pushing it away. Notice your thought for what they are. Your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are not your behavior. You may be thinking, I'm not doing well. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I cannot do this. I'm overwhelmed. The map reminds us here that thoughts don't have to control our behavior. When Mara's child is in distress, she feels frustrated. She has anger. She doesn't know what to do. And those thoughts are flowing. It's just like it's there. And she's telling herself, I should not be feeling this way. But we want her through acceptance and commitment therapy to accept, because acceptance helps her be present, be open to the thought, and dissociate herself from the thought. Noticing helps her sit back and recognize that these are just the thought. The thoughts are not necessarily the truth. I'm not looking forward to see whether the thoughts are truthful or not. Are they helpful? So if at this moment it's not helping me, then I just have to dissociate from it. And by accepting her emotion and unhooking from those unhelpful thoughts, she creates a response that is more calm and choose actions that are important to her as a caregiver, even when things are hard. Now, let's think about the third step. You see that compass there. We ask ourselves questions. In this moment, what action can I take that aligns with my values? It could be resting. It could be asking for help. We said that today. In our community, we live in isolation when we have children that have different abilities. It's important for us to show up and open up. We need help. I'm going to stop here and acknowledge my family that is present. I have my sister Ramon, my brother Frank, who are here today. I could have not done it without asking for help, without my family, without my friends, Leticia, without all the people that I have in my support system. We said it today. Who is in your support system? Ask for help. You cannot do it alone. Yes, it truly is very hard. With your values and engaging in actions that matters, you will find the strength to ask for help when you need help. It's going to teach you how to be patient with yourself. This is important. So Mara, coming back to her values are family, connection, and supporting her child's growth, even during difficult moments. So committed action for her would be staying calm, going through the storm, and acknowledging that this too shall pass. Let's just reflect on those values and see how we can continue to make sure that even when things are difficult, we are staying here right now in the present moment, noticing our thought, accepting them for just being thought, not the reality, and committing to engaging in behavior that align with our value. This is what the mindful action plan teaches us. And at the end, you come up with that powerful sentence that says, I am here now, accepting how I feel, noticing my thought, while doing what I care about. That's who you are, that caregiver who needs to build the skills necessary to make sure that you continue your journey, that very challenging journey with resilience, and most importantly, making sure that your healthcare is well taken care of. All right. If I just came here and said all this and didn't tell you that mindful action plan needs planning, I don't think I would have done a good service. Yes, I can send you the form. You will read the information instruction on the form. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's important that you plan it. Self-care is a value, so is planning, right? Mindful action planning is a form of self-care. Having a plan, setting goals, and writing it down will really help you do what is necessary for yourself. And I just want to talk about a few steps here that you can do. First, make that plan. What do you want to be? Remember that question. When it's hard, what should I be doing? Engaging in behavior that are important to me. What is important? And notice that self-planning or planning for what it's important to you is not something that you do once. It is ongoing. It happens almost every day, almost every week, because life happens. Your goals change. And we know that there are some goals that may never be achieved, and that is okay. It's part of being human. We have to recognize our humanity, right? Things may be good and things may be bad, and that's okay. We all go through pain. It could be that you're going through pain now, or maybe you just came out of pain. And we should be looking for barriers, things that can prevent us from planning and seeing how we can seek help, do the research, have the knowledge, the education. We mentioned that earlier. Education is power. Assess, why am I not making the progress that I wanted to make? What is happening? Have my value changed? Of course, your values can change over time. I'm pretty sure that the person that I was 10 years ago is not the person that I am today, and may not be the same person 10 years from now. So it's okay for you to evaluate, reassess, and see how things are going, and make adjustment if necessary. That's important. Now, I'm going to have you take a moment and reflect on what we have just discussed. How can you use the mindful action plan in your own life to build resilience and promote your own self-care while taking care of your loved one? So I'm going to invite you to do an exercise with me. Let's practice. So I invite you to take just a few minutes with me. If you feel comfortable, place your feet on the ground and take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Bring your attention to this moment. Right here, right now. Here you are. Just breathe in, breathe out. Notice your body. Notice your breath. There's nowhere else you need to be. You're right here and you're right now. Accept whatever feeling is coming in this moment. Stress, maybe. Tiredness. Calm. Maybe discomfort. Maybe happiness. Whatever feeling, just accept it. See if you can allow it to be there without trying to change it. Notice any thought that show up. You don't need to push them away or follow them. Just silently say to yourself, I am noticing this thought. Ask yourself gently, what matters to me right now? What is important to me? Let's reflect on that. What is the one small action I can take today that reflects what I care about? Could it be just spending this quiet moment with myself? Let's think about it. And you're still noticing those thoughts. Make space. You're here right now. Think about that small action that you can take that aligns with what matters to you, what you care about. As we finish the exercise, remind yourself, I am here now, accepting how I feel, noticing my thought, while doing what I care about. When you are ready, bring your attention back to this place. And I would say practice like this, don't remove the difficulty. It creates space to choose how we respond, especially when we are facing challenging moments. How do you want to respond? It helps you center yourself. It helps you be present. And when you are present, you act based on what is important to you. When you are overwhelmed, when you are transported by your thought, when you're thinking about the future, anxiety kicks in. Depression, all those challenges kick. You're very stressed. And when you are lost in your thought, you miss what's happening right now. You miss engaging in what is important to you. So when you practice mindfulness, noticing your thought, being here right now, assessing your values and engaging in behavior that align with those values, you create space to choose how you're going to respond and choose what is important to you. Yes, staying well enough to do what matters. Let's all remember that supporting neurodivergent individuals, whether they are children or adult, yes, it's important that we talk about adult. It is a demanding and deeply humane journey. And at times, it can be emotionally and physically exhausting. Don't get us wrong. There are the joys also. We're having a lot of happy moments also. But the challenges are very challenging. It is essential to recognize our own humanity, to acknowledge the impact this work has on our mental health, and to remember that self-care is not a luxury. No, it's not. It's not a luxury. It is a necessity. Taking care of ourselves, seeking support are critical to sustaining our well-being and our ability to care for others. And acceptance and commitment therapy or training, depending on the setting that you are in, if you are in a therapeutic setting, it's called therapy. But if you're outside of the therapy, like right now, it's called training. It offers a practical tools to help you stay present, to open to difficult experiences and ground you in what is important, your values. It helps you choose actions that matters to you, even when faced with ongoing challenges. And just as you care for other people, you have to remember that you need to care for yourself, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I'm pretty sure for those of you that have traveled or that have watched movies where people are traveling, it says that before you help your own children, put on first your own mask. Yeah, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So fill your own cup first with care, with compassion, and with kindness. This is truly very important. We need to take care of ourselves. And remember that question that I asked myself at the beginning, that we caregivers should be asking ourselves, who do I want to be in this moment when things get very hard? Who do I want to be? It didn't lead to big transformation, I would say, but it led to small, repeatable choices. I kept learning, not to prove anything, but to stay present, to increase my knowledge. We said earlier that education is power. My understanding of my child made me a better mother. My understanding of my child empowered me to make sure that I can provide for her in the way that meets her need, that I can adapt, that I can help other people understand her and better love her for who she is, for who God created her to be. Self-care is different for every person. You have to choose what is important for you. And what is good about acceptance and commitment therapy or training is that we're walking from your values. So it doesn't matter your culture. It's culturally adaptable because it's from your own perspectives. What is important to you? What are your values? I like walking, for example. When I'm outside in the nature walking, I am grounded. I'm not walking because I'm running away from the situation, but I'm regulating myself so I can come back to it more centered and more prepared to handle it in a way that is important, that brings dignity. I chose connection, family, advocacy. All those things are important to me. And through advocacy, through writing, moment like this, where meaning shows up quietly in relationship. The hard moment did not disappear, but I changed how I take care of it when it happens. I stopped measuring myself by whether things were calm, but I start looking and making sure that I engage in behavior that aligns with what is important to me, what matters. And that shift made all the difference. So my hope today is that when you leave here today, even in the midst of all the challenges, that you choose to stay present, to take small action, meaningful steps that are guided by what is important to you. In doing so, you honor your own humanity. You nurture your self-care and you protect your mental well-being, because caring for yourself is not an option. You cannot make it a choice not to do it. It's essential. We said autism is a lifespan disorder. If you want to be that caregiver that is nurturing, that is present, that is resilient, You have to take care of yourself. It's not optional. It's part of it. Put your own marks first before you try to put your child's marks on. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your attention, for the commitment, and the meaningful work that you do. And I'll open up to questions if you guys have any questions for me.
Of course, we have questions. Thank you so much for being here. It's been amazing having you, Dr. Sylvia. We have 3 questions in the chat. If you would stop sharing your screen so that I can pull that up. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
So before I stop sharing, let me just quickly share my references. As a clinician, that's important. So these are my references if someone want to get information from that. And my contact information, if you want to stay in contact with me, here we are. All right, thank you.
All right.
I'll
Thank you.
stop sharing now.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been relieving to say, and we want to appreciate you for being here today. We have 3 questions. One is from Josephine. Josephine says, "What early signs of caregiver burnout are most often ignored?"
What early signs of caregiving burnout are most often ignored? That's a
Yeah.
wonderful question. Self-care burnout. So the first thing I would say is that you know yourself. You should know yourself. And one of the exercises that we did earlier is just taking time to be present. Stop. We have to pause at some moment. Just pause. Your body will tell you that you need to rest. The body tells you, it gives you the sign. Sometimes you go to bed, you cannot even sleep. When you're exhausted, you know that you're exhausted. But what often happens is that we ignore those signs. When your body shows you that you're tired, you're like, no, I can do this. Or sometimes because you have no one else to help you, like, if not me, who else? That's why it's very important to have that circle. So that when your body tells you that you need a rest, you should listen to it and rest. Now, should we even wait for our body to tell us that we need to rest? And I'm sure my siblings are laughing right now because they're always reminding me that, Sylvie, you need to stop. But should we even wait to that point? No, we should not. We should plan self-care. We should plan to relax. Just as we plan to go to work, just as we plan to go to church, just as we have to plan to engage in behavior that aligns with what we call self-care. Because self-care for me is not necessarily self-care for you. So what makes you relax? What makes you calm? That is important. So I would say that your body usually will give you the signs that you're getting to burnout, but don't wait to even get those signs. Plan to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, just like you're planning to take care of everybody else.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
Wow. The next question says, is from Abdu. How can communities provide meaningful emotional support to caregivers?
That's a wonderful question. How can community, and that's a very valid question because sometimes people just don't know what to do, how to help.
Sure.
I have a daughter who's 20 years old, who's 6 feet tall, who engages in a lot of challenging behavior. People may not just know what to do. Sylvie, how can we help? And what I usually say is that even just calling me and say, Sylvie, we think about you, we're praying for you, it's already a lot. It's meaningful. I have a friend who lives in Florida. I live in the state of Maryland. One day she cooked froze the food, and shipped it to me. When I received that food, I cried. She said, Sylvie, I'm not there personally to cook for you. And she cooked something that I really liked for Cameroonian. She cooked fufu and ale. So she sent me that. She froze it and mailed it to me. Can you imagine that? That
Wow.
is how your community can help. Now, one thing is that sometimes the community does not help or does not know how to help because the family is living in isolation. They're hiding it. And people don't know how they can help. So I also want to mention, I want to stress it out. It was already said today, we need to open up. We need to raise that awareness. We need to talk about the challenges that we're going through. When my daughter was diagnosed with autism, she was the first person that introduced me to autism. She was born in the US. If later on we realized that there were other children diagnosed with autism, why did we never heard about those families? That's why we decided that we're going to make it a mission to make sure that on our own, at least, we try to raise awareness, talk about autism. When we wrote our first book and people read it, you cannot imagine how many families call us and say, we never knew that you guys were going through all that with Meghan. You cannot imagine how many people told me that, yes, we've heard about autism. We thought we knew about autism, but the autism that you're describing in the book has nothing to do with what we knew about. So that education piece is very important. So let's educate our community. Let's open up to them. Let's tell them that, yes, we're here. You can support us. I have so many friends that will call, so many family members. One of my friends, Leticia, is on the phone right now. We speak almost every day. When you have someone that you can open up to, it helps you a lot with reducing that stress. But when you find yourself very confined in isolation, you have all this thought. We are human. The thoughts are going to be there. We're not going to push them away. You have the challenges. You have the emotions. Yes, it's part of our humanity, but you have to be able to find ways on making sure that you're still grounded, that you're still engaging, reflecting on what is important to you, and engaging in action that align with those values.
Those that align with values. Okay, and the last question from Lerato. What would you say to caregivers who feel guilty for prioritizing themselves?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and I felt guilty so many times. Right? I'll say that it's a feeling that it's normal. We're all humans, you know. So one of the things that I value is that I value my education, personal development, right? So one thing that kept me sane, I would say, is that when my daughter was diagnosed with autism, back at the time, I was actually preparing to become a board certified, I was preparing to become a certified public accountant, CPA. And the lady at the time who was assessing her and all that was a board certified behavior analyst. And she told me back then that, oh, you will be great at this and it will help you have a better understanding of your daughter and all that. I was not ready. I told her, no, I'm not ready for this. I want to be a CPA. I don't want to be a therapist. I'm already her mom and it's already a lot. And now you're asking me to be a therapist. Fast forward a few years later, as Meghan grew, and I was like, things are not getting better. Maybe that lady was right. Maybe I need to go back and learn how to better understand Meghan and better support her. So I went back to school. And today I'm a certified behavior analyst. But through that process, you can imagine that I was absent at the house a lot of the time. So when I'm outside at the library studying, I'm feeling guilty that, oh my gosh, maybe I should be home doing stuff with Meghan. Maybe I should be home doing, but that was part of my own self-care because that was important to me. Those were the behavior that aligns with what was important to me. When I would do that and I would come home, I would be more equipped to take care of her. Yes. So taking care of yourself actually helps you. It puts you in a better state of mind to be present for your child. Because imagine if you are in a hospital sick because of anxiety, panic attack, and all this, who's taking care of your child? So you should never feel guilty when you are prioritizing self-care. Again, think about that thing. Before you put your mask on, before you put your child's mask on, you have to put your own mask on. They want you alive first before you can take care of that child. If you put that child's mask first and now you're dead, what's with that child? So you should never feel guilty about prioritizing self-care. It actually should be number one on your list. Because when you are doing well, when your mental health is great, you will be aligned, will be engaging in behavior that aligns with your values. And taking care of your child, I'm pretty sure as a mother or as a parent or as a caregiver, is something that is important to you. You will have the strength, you will have the knowledge, you will have everything that it takes for you to do what is necessary for your child.
Wow. So basically, self-care is not luxury.
No,
Is
it's
that is it?
definitely not. Definitely not. It
It's
is
a necessity.
It is a
It's a
necessity, and
necessity.
we should definitely. And we come from a culture, and this is something when we're talking about education, awareness about autism, this is also something that we should be educated on. We come from a culture, and we said it today, you have to be strong, you have to hide your emotion, you don't have to talk about the difficulties that you're going through because that makes you a less person. We have to educate our community. We have to educate people from our culture that taking care of ourselves is important. Having that support system, having people around us that support us, it's important. Having people that you can open up to without judgment, without stigmatization, it's important to us. It's part of our self-care. Sometimes people are dying in their rooms because they have no one to talk to. And that's the problem of the community. It means that they have not found anyone in that community that they can trust. Someone that can open up their arm and just say, come here, cry in my arms. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. We are humans. They're going to be difficult moments, and it's okay. But we also know that during those difficult moments, we need to have around us people there that can support us, go through the hardship of that specific moment.
Wow. The keynote speaker said something. She said, when a caregiver says, I'm tired, that it actually means something else. It doesn't really mean just being tired, that it has a lot of weight behind that. I'm tired. It means a lot.
Yeah,
So
because when we used to, especially when you're caring for a child that have different needs, right? There are so many other things that you deal with. And in most cases, you were not even prepared. Not that, we were prepared. Sometimes I feel like we were not even prepared to be parent. But now think about being parent of children with different abilities. I mean, no one talks about it. I grew up in a country where I rarely see anyone that had autism. I mean, come
autism.
on, right? Where were they? They were all hidden somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because they were, but probably hidden.
Yeah. So we were not prepared. We did not see the parents and the challenges and the things that they were going through. We were not prepared for this. So it's important for us, and we want to take so much on it. We want to make sure that we do this, we do that. We're still members of the community. We're still out there. We still have job. We have so many other things still going on that we want to always make sure that we get out and then we show up and we're doing good to the point where we cannot do it anymore. It means that it's truly bad at this moment. So that's what she meant. That when I'm tired at this moment, if I open up and say I'm tired, know that I'm almost maybe going to the hospital. Yeah.
There was something you said that caregiving doesn't just test your skills, it tests your
Mhm.
heart. It tests your heart, it tests your patience.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to pause. You said pause at some moment and take care of yourself.
Do
Thank you so
something that
much for
makes you
being.
happy.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on this program this evening, and it's an honor to have you.
Thank you
And we
so
will
much
move
for
to the
having
next
me.
session. Any final words? Any final words for our audience?
Yes. So again, thank you so much to the whole team for putting all this together. This was very thoughtful, very needed for our community. To all the caregivers out there, please take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You come first. You need to take care of yourself. Sit down, assess, look at your values, what is important to you, and make those more actions that helps you align with those values. By doing that, you are empowering yourself to live a resilient life, but more importantly, you're preparing yourself to take care of that blessing that God entrusted you to take care of. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you.